Hello and welcome to another episode of Property-Pxrn Stars, the premium property podcast, brought to you by your hosts David Lindley.
And I'm Matt Giggs.
And today our guest, our star, is none other than James Cooper, who's Managing Director of Buy Design in South Devon. He's been doing some absolutely incredible things. And I think, what did we say earlier? In the first couple of months since he started, is it £18 million worth of instructions?
Just under that, yeah.
Just under that, yeah. A little bit of change from that.
A little bit of change from that, yeah.
So today we're going to get under the skin of James, how he's achieved that, and a load more besides. So firstly, welcome. Thank you for coming all the way from sunny Devon to rainy London.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, my favourite place to be.
I like the fact that you said that it was, about that. A lot of agents would go, yeah, that's it. You were very honest there to say it wasn't quite 18 million.
Yeah, in the top down.
More like most
20,
agents
roll it up to
roll up your fees, 1.5, but they charge 1.35.
Yeah.
So
roll it up to 20.
There,
call it an average 20. Yeah,
very transparent.
No, it's been good.
So let's start kind of at the beginning. Let's talk about your journey into a estate agency then. So talk us through it. How have you ended up doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I started in agency in January 2003. So 21 and a bit years ago. I've been travelling in Australia for a few months, didn't really know what I was doing before that. I worked at Tesco's, I worked at McDonald's and all that kind of stuff, but just kind of came back from Australia thinking I want to get into something, with a bit of longevity. So managed to get a job with a local independent estate agent and in the village I grew up in, and it just rolled from there really. I mean, those were at that time, there was no computer on my desk or anything. It was the old hot boxes and filing cabinet and, out with the valuer, all that kind of stuff. And it was, it was good. It was good fun. Enjoyed it.
Traditional high street setup?
Traditional, high street setup, And very quickly then, we started doing overseas property stuff and the old exhibitions, where it was like...
How does a traditional high street estate agencies get into overseas stuff?
There was a company, I can't remember what they were called now, but they were based in Birmingham, I think, and it was a company that kind of sourced property or developers around the world, really, and then offered that package to local independent agents to push tours to clients. So I started doing that, and we were mainly selling seats on planes to Spain, basically, to meet developers, to go out there. But we were selling the dream, effectively. And
did you sell much of it? Did it work?
Yeah, for a couple of years, it was all right. Yeah, pretty good. But then, to be honest with you, I think the internet started kind of growing more and more in terms of property.
Yeah.
People just weren't coming to exhibitions. It was just getting harder and harder to do. And it was a bit of fun, but did that for 2 or 3 years and then became branch manager of the local, a new office in Torquay. And then I left there in 2008, just as the market started changing. It was a very odd time. We'd had a great year. We could see what was happening October 2007 going into 2008, thinking this is going to change any second now. Every phone call was first time buyer buying with 125% loan to value through Northern Rock, and you were like,
crazy times.
So I resigned then and got a job with a developer in Dubai. So I moved out to Dubai and worked for a developer out there where the market crashed even more spectacularly.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I was, what was I, 25, something like that. No commitments. It was like, why not?
Why not?
Worst thing that can happen is I'll come home again.
Yeah.
So I went and did that. I got sold the dream a bit by the UK recruiters, to be honest with you. And
I mean, they've stopped doing that now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Selling the dream of Dubai. Is that right?
Well, I don't know what social media platform you're on.
I think it's a slightly different...
I mean, I've just applied.
It's a slightly different dream now, I think. But back then, they said to me, you're essentially order taking, James. So you get out there, the phone's just ringing off the hook, people just buying properties. And, I'm like, really? Okay. So get out there and speak to some of the guys. And there was an office of maybe 60 of us. And I don't think the phone ever rang in the kind of few months that I was there. Nothing inbound at all. And I got back from lunch one day with a group of my mates there, and we literally all got a phone call saying, oh no, my computer wouldn't log in. I couldn't log back into my computer. And my manager said to me, that means you've got to go to head office. And so we went downstairs, stood outside waiting for a taxi to take us to head office. We were thinking, what the hell's all this? And he said, I've just been logged out of mine as well, so I'm joining you. And we got to
your manager that told you to go downstairs.
Yeah. Right. And then we got to head office and realised that we were one of 350 people that had all been called there in a line going around the building into the canteen, and they basically got us to sign a document in Arabic and snapped our SIM cards, and then we had 30 days to
leave the country.
Yeah. I managed to get another job in media. Just
In Dubai?
In Dubai, yeah, just to kind of keep me out there for a bit longer, really.
Were you enjoying it out there?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
How long were you out there for in the end of the media company as well?
I think it was like 10 months in total, something like that, which was enough. It was good fun. It's a very expensive place to live unless you're earning mega bucks. But the kind of, I don't know what to say really, it wasn't organised terribly well. Like it was just trying to throw everything at one thing, and it was just a bit of a disaster, I think, in terms of, I think they thought if you get as many people out there, stuff will happen. But it was good fun, enjoyed that. And I came back then, the company that I'd left had gone into administration and folded. And so...
Sorry, the company that you left in the UK or the company
in
Dubai?
the UK.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I came back and that company had gone. And one of the directors who I'd got on really well with, Mike Hart, he was running Finding Country for the company I was working for. Yeah. And he took the license to another brand and kept it going. So I came back and I was like, hey, I want to get into that end of the market. I'll work for free if you want. Like, just get me involved somehow. And he did pay me something, but I started doing that. And
what year was that?
That was 2000 and that was late 2009. And it was we were just starting to build things up a little bit, and then we got a nice listing at about 1.8 million, which we sold, and things started just moving from there really. And then Mike sadly retired. He got cancer and then retired, and so it changed the atmosphere really severely. I was in an office on my own, 6 days a week, just trying to do this job with Finding Country, and it was really hard work, really quite a lonely thing when you've only got competitors around you. It was quite a tricky thing to do. So I actually left there and worked for the Guild as a business development manager, driving all over the country, literally. I think the West Country was described as north as Oswestry in North Shropshire, down to Henley-on-Thames, down to Christchurch, all of Wales, and right round Cornwall, back up again.
So just little
that's
territory.
mainly half of the country, not the West Country. So I did that for about 8-9 months, and the core brand of where we were with Finding Country was one of my accounts. Spoke to Michael, who owns that, and said he wanted somebody to kind of come in as kind of right-hand man, if you like, and do some work with the offices. So I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's where it started, really. So I kind of went back into kind of core brand agency, and then did that for 3 or 4 years and just got that office kind of doing what it should do, and then moved back into Finding Country for the same firm, but kind of really ramped it up, really. So I'd say 2016 Finding Country for me was where I really started taking off, but I've been around it since 2005.
Yeah. And going back to, you said you had that conversation with Mike Hart when you came back from Dubai.
Yeah.
He said, I want to get into the premium stuff. Why? Why did you want to get into the premium stuff?
I just always preferred it, I think. I don't know. I got on well with the clients. I just enjoyed that stuff. I like nice properties. It's much nicer for me to go and do that. And we had some amazing stuff on, clifftop homes or just really cool properties. And I think that's probably what took me out to Dubai in the first place, was look at what they're actually building. The fact they weren't actually building them was another matter, but the illusion was there. But it was just that kind of thing. I just had this natural kind of thing that I wanted to go that way. And even when I was doing the core brand stuff, 2013, 2014, 2015, it just wasn't my bag, really.
So what did you do? Sort of gradually move out of the core brand stuff into premium stuff?
Yeah, and at that point we'd had manager running Finding Country and somebody running the core brand, and it just doesn't work. To have one person trying to go from one thing. You could be in a 1-bed flat in the morning and in a £2 million place in the afternoon. The headspace that you need for doing both of those is just so different.
Yeah.
So tried that for a bit, it just doesn't work.
No.
And so I went in just purely as Finding Country.
Yeah.
With the support of the core brand, but mainly people answering phones and all those kind of things.
I think that element of focus is very underrated, isn't it? It's so hard to wear 2 hats. Almost impossible to do it effectively.
Yeah.
You can hold a position like that, but you can't really grow it.
No, and until I did it myself, I didn't really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was only going into it myself and seeing how that works, and the kind of, right, okay, I've got to get ready for this park home in a minute, or whatever it might be, was just not where I wanted to be. And all of a sudden the relationships I was building from previous were kind of coming back through. So it was like contacts that I'd sold for in 2011 or 10 when I was working with Mike were coming back saying, I'm looking for something, have you got something? And finding them properties at high end. And I just started really enjoying that side of it, you know, and building friendships really with my clients. And that's really where I've got to since that kind of time, 2015 onwards, was this is the bit I really enjoy doing. Like,
yeah, I think there's also a very different level of expectation from a standpoint of clients. And how would you describe that to someone who's listening to this, who's probably more back in the core brand side of the market?
Yeah.
Who's thinking, do you know what, I'd like to be in the premium market?
I think you've just got to, it's all about experience for me. I think you've got to build up this experience slowly but surely and get really good clients and really good network base of contacts that are going to recommend you in that space. You've got to kind of prove your worth really over the years. And I think if you're looking to get into that market, it's you know, coming across like you know that what you're doing and you do what you say you're going to do and you're genuine about it and you care. You know, that's the biggest thing I think is, if you care about what you do and you care that you want to be in the premium market, you can do it. But the relationship building is super important really, really quickly. And to be honest, you shouldn't be even having to think about that. It's just that's the natural way that you come across to clients is that you are there to help them. You're a normal person that does care and has got passion about their home and can see what they can see and can help them. But you've really got to get those contacts in.
How do you do that? So is that just gradual, or
it's time? It's time, I think, and getting to know the right people and building working relationships is super important. So I've got a couple of solicitors that I work with who, you know, if I rang them now on my mobile, they'd answer immediately. You know, so I'll automatically put my clients towards them. I'm not looking for referral fees or anything like that. Don't believe in any of that. It's a case of serve my clients as I would do it, and this will work. And we, you know, we're all in the same mindset. And I think it's finding people that you work with who are in the same mindset, that do believe in the same values that you've got, that you want to do a really good job for your customer, and have fun with it. Like, enjoy it. It doesn't need to be as stressful as sometimes it's made out to be. You know,
it's actually a really interesting line of questioning. Like the talk about sort of the mindset there, but what's the practical differences? If you're running a premium brand next to a core brand, just operationally, how are those two businesses different? Like, what does one day in the office look like for one compared to another? What are the big differences?
It's being able to offer the time to your client. I think that's one of the biggest things for me. So if I was selling a property, you know, several £1 million or what have you, then you're not going to be booking in a half-hour appointment because you've got another one just after. You know, and I've heard horror stories about that happening. You know, it's a case of you really have to kind of say, right, I'm going to do one, maybe two valuations in a day. Like, one's as far at the beginning of the day and one's right at the end to allow you to spend as much time with that client as possible. And I think when you're in that kind of normal market, let's say, where, you know, you've got clients at 150, 200, 300,000 or what have you, you can't afford that amount of time because of what you're trying to get out at the end of it. You know, it just wouldn't work. So, you know, it's giving you time, yourself space and time to dedicate what that client and that property needs without them feeling rushed, and building up the relationship with them, because that's really what you're there to do. You know.
Whereas in a core brand, they'd be racking in how many valuations a day?
Yeah. And I remember being, you know, back in the day, we're probably talking 2005, 6. I remember clients coming in and I was thinking, I've no idea who they are. You know, probably a register of 50, 60 properties, or you've got 30 odd sales going through, and I literally wouldn't have a clue who these people were, you know. Whereas now it's like I'm talking to mates, you know, and that's what's lovely about it is you're kind of attracting the same people in your clients as you are, you know, and I think that's the biggest difference is it is genuinely personal service.
Do you know, I hear this all the time. Like, it's a totally different relationship. Like, instead of going there and making a pitch, you turn up and have a glass of wine and walk away. So the fee almost doesn't come. We'll get on to fee in a minute because that's really interesting, but almost fee doesn't come into it. It's are we going to trust each other and work together or not?
And, you know, sometimes, I mean, when I was kind of growing with the premium end of the market, it was a case of go on evaluation, I'd have all my stuff with me and I'd pack all these things away and this big case. And very quickly I realised that actually nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. And actually 9 times out of 10 people would give it back to me at the end and say, you don't need to leave me with this, it's fine. Because all they see is who's in front of them. Are you going to deliver me what I want you to?
Yeah.
And can I trust you?
Yeah.
And so 99% of my appointments are building that up. You know, however long that might take. It might take me 5 minutes to, I don't know, notice a photo on the wall of a place that I've been, or, you know, they might have a dog or they've locked it in the cage or something. I say, no, don't worry about, you know, anything like that. But again, it's not really thought, you don't think about it. It's just natural. It's just a natural.
Do you know, I'll quote Mr. Giggs or something. I remember you said you don't win valuations, you win trust.
You do. I mean, we've
100%.
just done training last week with some agents, and that's you don't build rapport, you build relationships. And the difference, what's the difference between the two? And I think a lot of agents who try and build rapport, it's inauthentic in comparison to naturally just trying to connect with someone through the right kind of questions and conversation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, you know, there'll probably be some agency trainers out there that would probably absolutely cringe at what my pitch would be. Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't have the structure or the kind of, you know, tick box exercise of what we need to do.
Do you feel that's like if you look at like the volume model and then the premium or prime model, and you think those guys, I mean, they just know what they want, what they expect.
Yeah.
And you could have the best presentation, you could have all of the tools, but if they don't really buy into you and they don't really like you, trust you, then there's absolutely no chance. Whilst if you come into the volume model, they're looking for maybe slightly different rationale. You know, they probably want to be told what they want to hear. You know, whilst if you go into this market, it's the difference between the two. Actually, they want someone who's going to challenge them, and it's that difference. I think people forget that, you know, if you can operate very differently in these two marketplaces.
And, you know, for me, the higher end is easier
to do
than the volume market. 100%.
I was with a client the other day, sorry to cut across you, but I'd done 2 appointments in the same day. One in excess of $1 million, which in our area is a fairly high-end market, and the other one was around 350 to 400, and they just had a corporate out. They told them 400. And if they got 400 for it, and I said this to her, because I thought, I don't care anyway, to be honest. I just said, I'll give you £25,000 if they get you 400,000. She laughed. And I said, but what would you rather? Do you want to be on the market for 6 months and just come down, because this is what's going to happen, let me show you. And she was still just like, yeah, but they told me 400, you know, and it's like, oh, bless her, you know. And you have to kind of go, you know, actually, we're not going to work with you. And I think what people admire in the higher end is when you're able to ask questions and challenge people, because that's what they expect of you. It's your job, your expertise that they're looking to invest in, as opposed to your words, you know.
And it comes down to recommendation and referral as well, doesn't it? And all that kind of stuff, or, you know, just talking about other properties that you've sold and all that kind of stuff. And then the core market, it does tend to, however judge it might be, is a case of highest price, lowest fee.
That's their two that's the two directions they want to go in.
I mean, and ultimately, you know, I remember this from when I was working for the Guild, is every town I went to, without doubt.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Every single town, you talk about fees. Oh yeah, you can't get that here. You know, you can't get that in this town. And I'm like, well, every town says the same. And, you know, we can challenge it. And, you know, in my area, I've got high-end agents going out and charging silly fees, as in ridiculously low fees, but they're not providing the service anyway. So it's just that the higher end becomes the volume market for them.
Yeah.
And they're cheapening everything they do.
Interesting, isn't it?
So go back to the story in a minute, but let's talk about that just for a second. So you've got competitors in your area that are charging silly fees. A silly fee to you is what, 1%?
Yeah, sometimes a bit lower, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they say they won't, but
they do.
They do, yeah. And that's fine, you know, and I don't try and kind of compete with that. It's like, I just, you know, and I was talking to you earlier about, you know, in my kind of pitch, if we call it that, like when I'm talking to a client, very rarely will I talk about the finishing guide price or what we're going to put it on at the appointment. very rarely do I talk about fee and price costs and all this stuff. We can deal with that later, but ultimately it's a case of this is what I offer, this is what I can do for you, this is how it works, this is what I've done before. If you'd like to work with me, I'd love to. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it's a real mind shift change in terms of, I remember going out to valuations and being so like worried about it, or thinking
Supercharged.
like, oh my God, I've got to get this at any cost, and being upset when you don't get it, or you think you get angry or you get cross, and actually suddenly kind of confidence comes in when you know that you're doing all right. And at that point you go, it's just a personality thing. If they either want to work with me or they don't.
So has your mindset shifted now that if you lose one for whatever reason, it doesn't play on your mind?
It will for a little bit, of course.
Say, come on.
Yeah, I mean, if I really
Until they come back.
Yeah, quite. But I know that I can only offer what I can offer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
In terms of, if I went in my fee and they didn't want that, that's fine. They're looking for a very different service, and undoubtedly, the response I always get is afterwards is that they haven't had the service that they were promised. They've probably never seen that valuer again.
Yeah.
They've not had an agent even doing the viewings of their home, and all of those things are what you get with, it's a case of, if you want to employ me, you will get me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difference, really, that I can do that now.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's a huge difference. I think that's really, really important. You're there from cradle to grave, from MA to completion, because they're buying into you.
Yep.
Yeah. So just going back, because we kind of got down quite a few rabbit holes there.
That's me. Yeah.
Going back to the story, this is, you said you kicked things off properly in the premium market 2015, 2016, did you say?
Yeah, it was around then, 2016 onwards, I'd say.
Yeah.
And kind of, it just kind of, I just started enjoying it more and more. And then kind of...
At this point, was it run out of high street offices, or was it done?
So we had so Fun and Country in 2011 was a kind of standalone office, and then that changed, I think probably 2014, something like that, into a kind of a dual branded office. And ever since then, it was just a shop window with Fun and Country in one of the boards, and the rest of it was core brand. So it kind of showed to me really didn't need a standalone office for what we were doing in the premium market.
Yeah.
People didn't really care, to be honest with you, where my office was or what I was doing. So, but that worked really well for us. That area worked really nicely. I enjoy the country house market and all that kind of stuff, so that was working really well. Obviously, then COVID came along and just went into chaos, really. Back in the office after 6 weeks, dealing with everything. So that was a bit crazy. But each year we'd kind of take on a property that would maybe set the new benchmark in terms of price, and you'd get one biggie through a year, perhaps we'd call it, and then the next year you'd get a couple more. And
what's a biggie for you?
So that was like, I suppose we probably started in like 2, and then it was kind of like, oh, we've got one at 3 this year, and like, oh, hang on, we've got one at 4 1/4. It's like, and really we're probably topping out at, I haven't taken anything on at that price yet, but like 5.5 is probably where it top really, but we'll get there. For sure.
So there you come back in COVID, things crazy.
Yeah.
And what happens from there to where we are today then?
Gosh, lots of things. I think it's a bit of a blur really over the last few years.
It is for everyone.
It's mad. You can't kind of pin any time stamps, can you? But just carried on doing that really, and as I started kind of doing more with Fun and Country, I also started kind of getting more involved in the kind of core brand, but kind of running the day-to-day runnings of that business. And that was a distraction, there's no two ways about it. That did take away mindset from doing what I was doing, because I was probably doing, I don't know, it felt to me like 60-40, so 60% for the core brand and 40% for the premium brand, even though I wasn't doing the day-to-day stuff. And it's everything really, looking after team, marketing, website. I learned how to build the websites, I did that myself, all those kind of things that you just have to do to run a business coming out of something like COVID. It was good, but it was diverting me away from it. And what I found was I was getting to these premium properties and I'm really enjoying spending time with those clients, and then coming back and having to do the dull stuff really, the mechanics of running a core brand agency that I wasn't,
that passionate about.
Yeah, ultimately. So So then, kind of did that until earlier this year, and then handed my notice in April this year, and started with David at By Design in June. So yeah.
And £18 million worth of instructions later. So just on the theme, because there's an interesting conversation. We spent the last day or so together. We had a big team meeting with the By Design guys and dinner last night. And one of the conversations we were having on the way there and back, and I think this is contrary to how a lot of people are thinking in the industry, and not just our industry as well, actually, it revolves around AI and automation and stuff like that. It's a bit of a hot topic, isn't it? And thinking about that through the lens of comparing the premium market to a core market.
Yeah.
And we had this discussion ages ago, and I picked it up with you because it's such an interesting point. You said, I'm going to exaggerate to make a point, but I don't want any automation, I don't want any AI, I don't want anything that is done en masse, in bulk, by a computer. For me, it's got to be personalised. So talk to us about that, because it's quite a contrarian point of view.
I love tech, right? And I built the website for the old brand and all this kind of stuff, and I love stuff like that. I remember when Jasper came out, and it was like, and they had to change the name of it or whatever, didn't they? And it was like, write me a blog post for this, and it was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. And I think the more time you spend with AI, the more you can get carried away.
You lose
with AI, and you're kind of leveling the bar. So like everyone can now look at AI and use AI and sound professional if they want to, and do all these different things, which is cool. There's definitely a place for it for me, but what I don't want for me in my business for premium brand is I don't want a customer getting an automated thing about a viewing confirmation. Like, depending on the tone of that client or what they're like, or do they want another email in their inbox with another kind of confirmation, or do they just want a WhatsApp message? Is it a text message? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it a personalized email? Is it just like, this is done? Because I think there's so much focus on taking away day-to-day admin stuff and which is great in volume markets. There's definitely a place for it. But for me, in my business for premium, I don't want to be so reliant on that stuff that I lose the personality that comes across with that client in that moment at that time.
Yeah.
Because the conversation you might have with somebody, and it's, I don't know, John or what have you, then an email goes out, dear Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, it automatically doesn't...
It's incongruent, isn't
it? Yeah, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And because we're dealing with high value, lower numbers, there's no reason why that can't be done. And I think, we'll get to a stage where we need to do something about that, but it will always have this element of personalised approach.
I think that whole AI subject for the premium market is really interesting. So what you're saying actually was borne out as true in that Voice of the Agent survey that we did with Simon Ledbetter. We did this prime cut, which just looks at the top end of it, comparing the premium to the resi agents. And one thing they said, there was less adoption of AI in the premium than there was in the core markets. And I think it's because if you're running a volume game, you need everything automated that you can. If you're running a premium one, you want as more personalization as you can. So we were chatting about this.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, think of it like a car manufacturing plant. If you are Ford, you've probably got a whole factory full of robots putting together the same car
definitely
all day and all night. Whereas if you're Rolls-Royce, I think it's Bentley actually, that they I think their chief engineer signs with a pen, signs every engine as it comes out of the factory, because it's so put together by hand, he puts his name to it.
Yeah.
And that's just the difference between the volume game and the premium game. It's just such an interesting take that kind of goes against the flow.
And, don't get me wrong, I still use it for elements, but they certainly won't be customer facing elements. So if I'm having some brain fog with a property description or something, I will put something in there to get me started to kind of work.
The flow going.
I read loads of agency details, and they're all starting to sound the same. They're all getting more descriptive and more flowery.
More weird adjectives.
But some of them aren't even being checked, right? So, you're looking at a photo of the most horrendous, I don't know, might be a derelict flat or something like that. And it's like the ambience in this dining room. Can you imagine having, and I'm like, what? That's just rubbish.
No one who's seen this has written that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's the danger of it, I think, and especially with it's integrated into CRMs, is that when you are under pressure and it's about listings and listings and listings and listings, some of the stuff going out there is a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I don't think it's well received by the search engines as well, is it? Am I right in thinking that?
That's a good point. I'm not sure, actually. I don't know whether they detect whether it's
there is
by
stuff
AI.
coming out now, isn't there? So I think Google are going to bring in a kind of icon next to search posts, which will tag whether it's AI written or whether it's human written.
Yeah.
But then there'll be something around that will get around that.
Yeah.
But I think you've got a valid point. I think authenticity is something a lot of people talk about, don't they? And AI is the opposite of that, isn't it? So
I can't be authentic when a
so
robot's
hang on a
written.
minute, right? Here we go. Who the hell's that? You know. So it's.
This is what we were saying actually. It would be interesting your point of view. It was in this last night on social media.
Yeah.
You can pretty much instantly tell when someone's written a post through ChatGPT or something. It stands out for the wrong reasons.
I've had some ghostwriting done over the last year or two. You know, just with like some posting and stuff, and you know, I only done it because of a time perspective. So they've reworded certain videos and stuff and transcribed it in there. And even though they're my words, put together slightly differently than how I would, it doesn't read quite on my tone, which doesn't make any sense. But the point is I think there's so much that has to be synchronized as to who you are, what you believe in. Everything stands out from there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, your values, if you like. And that has to come through for you to create this authentic brand. And that's what you attract then, is you attract the customer that you want to work with, who wants you to work with them.
That's the aim, right?
And I think that's where the volume model is a challenge. And I think it's certainly something that I've been going over and over again, is what do we want to be in this market, as opposed to you're kind of almost forced to be in a market that doesn't necessarily fit with what you believe in sometimes. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and I think what the premium brand does, it forces you to be yourself in a good way and to do what you're doing authentically, going out there, talking about what you believe in. I'm happy to walk away, whatever those conversations look like. But I think it's a refreshing way for agents to work.
Yeah.
In comparison to old.
When AI kind of started coming around, I'm like, the bit I hate about the job the most is writing the text of a property.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, being honest about it, is that is the one thing I'm like, I will do any other job first.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Put that until do you know what I mean? And,
I'm the same. Yeah,
but once I get in that zone and I've started writing it, it just flows and it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, I've thought about, do I get a copywriter in to do this? Do I get somebody else to do that? And I having a conversation with somebody a few months ago where they were like, does anybody know of a copywriter I can get in to do my property details? And I'm like, what else have you got left? Like, you know, you're outsourcing your photos, your EPC, your floor plan.
Phone's being answered.
Your phone's been answered. You know what I mean? You've got AI doing this, that, and the other. Somebody's writing.
It's true though, isn't it? Like when you were when you were getting into agency, you were doing everything. So you were learning every part of it. You took care over those elements, and I think now it's like.
Yeah, I think that's the.
And you can lose that kind of.
It's remembering what used to do.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I loved about Mike, right? So he would be anti-tech. Nothing would work. You know, he would do everything longhand, and then have somebody type it up for him and all this stuff. And I came along, kind of learning from him. He'd been in agency 40 years, and then brought this kind of tech element, which frightened him to death, really, because it was like, what do you mean you've done it already? You know, that kind of attitude. But it stood me in good stead, really, because it meant that I had the experience of picking up the phone and speaking to people and actually selling a property to people, like without Rightmove or without a portal or without a computer, but could add the technology bits to it as they came along, and it's kind of like, you know, always looking at the next thing to see whether there was a fit for it. I mean, photography was the key thing, wasn't it? You know, I remember my boss at the time, Nigel, he used to have to come back halfway through a listing because his camera could only hold 8 photos at a time. Download them and come back, you know. But
the days you had to wait for them to be exposed.
Well, exactly,
you know,
yeah.
Like,
I'm not
then
quite
you
that
get
old.
them back and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
But
you know, so
times change.
Times change.
But
and,
people don't, right?
Exactly.
So your Mike chap, he shouldn't go near tech. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would keep him away from it and play to your strengths, right?
Yeah.
Because
he didn't, to be fair to him. And
certain customers would love him for who he is.
Yeah.
And that's where he should play his part. Whilst you've got somebody who can kind of use their own interpersonal skills and the certain levels of tech. And then you've got people that are just, and this is probably where the generation shifts are. I mean, certainly like the next wealth generation are going to be slightly different than the last one. And you kind of think, well, you have to be up with the times to a degree. You can't ignore what's happening, and it's like there's this creating this quite a big divide between the old school and the new school.
Yeah.
And I feel our generation, I'm counting myself in your generation. I'm probably a little bit older than you guys, but we're in this middle ground between the old generation, the mics, and then the 20 to 30-year-olds who are kind of YouTubers, and they're way ahead of the time. But where their potential skill sets are lacking is in the interaction with a customer over the phone or face to face. And I think there's going to be years from now where people are going to have to learn those skills in training courses, like people are learning AI. Because they're so far behind, because most of their conversations are through a screen. And you think about going back to, sorry, James, how old are you? Do you mind?
42.
It's all right. So you're, I mean, I'm 49 soon, which still horrifies me, but
James, stop laughing.
Sorry, mate.
But you kind of like, all of your best times, all your best clients and memories of clients and deals were made through conversations.
Yeah, and that's changing for clients as well in a way, isn't it? Because obviously everyone's getting
gone
older
down that route.
and
But I still think people are, it's like an untapped skill now.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we shouldn't forget that the future is also dictated by what worked in the past.
Yeah, well, and also I think we've come full circle in a lot of things, isn't it? People are fed up with banks where they're shutting the bank branches and you can't do this and you can't do that. They just want to speak to somebody, and some of the online banks where you can get through on one ring, to speak to somebody is a great mix, to get that customer service back. I think this, and especially in the premium market, people don't want to be like dealing with numerous people and explain themselves more and more and more. They want to deal with one person who's going to do it. And this is what comes back to, like I said at the start, this is where experience comes in.
I agree. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I watched a really interesting video that it was from Jeff Bezos, and he said, people always ask me what's going to change in 10 years' time, and nobody asks me what's not going to change in 10 years' time. And that's what he sort of builds his business on. Yeah, and I'd maybe say for our industry, the thing that lots of things won't change, but people buying people, especially in the premium market, is so important. To have that relationship with them like you have is what sets your business apart.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
And it's what I've kind of started with by design really is that.
That's a good starting point. Why? What made you go?
Well,
here we go.
I mean, for me, I was running a business really day to day. It wasn't my business. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all good. But there was always this itch that and especially when you're looking at high value fees and you're thinking, okay,
5 to 10% of that.
Which is fine. It's just a natural thing, isn't it? And it's not for everybody, but that's cool too. But for me, it was just I always had this itch that I really just wanted to do something how I would want to do it, make my own decisions with the finances of it, with everything really, and be able to kind of do things how I want to do them, having built up the experience over 20 years. And that's what I'm doing now, and it's great.
Good for you.
So
I think so far so good for sure.
Yeah.
Just coming back one step in the conversation, it was quite a nice jumping off point to talk about something else. Was you talking about conversations and technology and so on? You showed me, James, a few times, because you've got quite a lot of international customers. I know we're not exactly in prime central London here that everyone thinks of as this big international buying and selling community. We're in not quite deepest, darkest Devon, but we're down there. Beautiful part of the world, very rural, and yet you've got a very international client base. How does that come about? How do you manage them? How do you translate? This must open up a whole new ball game to you, especially compared maybe to the resi market, which is more local, dare I say?
So, the majority of buyers for us are still kind of UK based, moving into the area or have moved in at some stage. But we have been starting to get some attention from overseas clients, and all different types of languages that are coming through. So the use of AI for me in that instance
is really good.
I'm just going to contradict myself completely now, because I used AI to
throw the podcast in.
Because I used AI to communicate with this client to understand what they were saying and send it back in Chinese so they could see what I was saying in Chinese. Until the point they said, "Do you speak Chinese?" And I'm like, "No, I've just used AI."
Should have gone with it.
That's right. But a lead can come from anywhere, right? So we've had them from at the States. Had a few from the States. We've had one from Gibraltar. We've got Chinese clients. We've got.
It did make me laugh, Matt. I don't know whether you've seen this, but James showed me he sent on, I think it was over WhatsApp, sent the client back a long bit of feedback on a viewing or something like that, saying, "Oh, this is good, promising, da 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 da."
Yeah.
And then the client's response was like, it wasn't even emoji; it was like a sticker of a rabbit with a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And that was the communication. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, you just adjust to whichever client what they need at the time. I've got foreign clients that own big properties, and actually, what they need is somebody to look after every aspect of that.
Everything.
Concierge.
It's not just about selling. I'm sorting their Wi-Fi for them at the moment. Because I've got the contacts to be able to do it. I've sorted commercial gardeners to sort the place. All that kind of stuff. It doesn't take me a lot of time because I've got the connections. So it's literally putting people together and just like you say, concierge. I hate using that concierge.
But it's a business. A lot of these people, they're not interested in any of that. That's their time that you're giving away.
Yeah.
And that's all they're interested in. And I'd rather pay someone who can organise all of that.
Yeah, that's right. And I think where that trust sort of really comes into manifest itself, doesn't it? Because they trust you to do everything.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong with the garden, if something needs staging, if there's something that needs Wi-Fi fixing, it's like, it doesn't matter. We're paying you a very good fee, but
that's a high level relationship.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I would also add that they don't expect it.
Yeah.
It's not like you will go and do this because I'm paying you X%, whatever. But I was just thinking, if you're in this relationship and you can help. Help. Do it. And that's why you have to build up your connections with that in your network and to have trusted partners for things. I've got one client that's just done a major renovation with an architect friend of mine, several £1 million, and I've literally done the removals for them, put them in touch with the right guy, solicitors, that was all done, right person, home automation guys and home cinema, all that kind of stuff, done with people I would trust with anybody. I have absolutely no hesitation in recommending them because I know that that client will be looked after.
Yeah.
And they said to me the other day, I said, "Oh, did you get any other quotes for removals?" And they said, "We don't bother anymore, James." Said, every single person you've put us in touch with has been exceptional.
Fast. Yeah.
And that's all you want,
Totally. So going from AI and cutting edge technology, all that sort of stuff, all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm going to bring up here, don't you? So James produces some very beautiful looking brochures, but printed brochures nonetheless. So I'll be provocative. Come on, James. Surely brochures are dead in this day and age, James. Come on, let's be real.
Well, I did this. I did
Just would love to see this, wouldn't they?
Yeah, right. I think they're one of the most underused tools out there. Really,
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you? What do your brochures look like, and how do you use them then?
They are the best brochures in the market, as far as I'm concerned. But they are professionally designed, professionally printed. 24-page, maybe slightly less for a smaller house, maybe slightly more for a bigger house, and just professional. And I think, for me, and I did this LinkedIn post, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I put on it, I was like, the humble brochure, and did this kind of post about it and like why I think they're important and the quality and all this stuff. And this post went crazy. Like, I think we had 90 odd comments about totally agree and all this kind of stuff. This is great, all that stuff. And I think for me, it's not about applicants ringing up saying, "Can you send me the brochure?" That does not happen. No. The client says, "Do we really need one?" It's online anyway, isn't it? But when you sit down and you kind of explain that, when you're selling a premium product, premium property that we've got, and you've got somebody that's travelled maybe 4-5 hours in the car to come and have a look at your home, when they go away from that property, you want them to have the best presentation of your home that's possible.
It's tangible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exciting. And it's like, I had a client the other day who went to see, and they're on the market with a couple of competitors at the moment. And they went on a viewing of a property at £2 million, and the person turned up with a photocopied, black and white, set of brochures, particulars of the house.
How much is the house worth?
£2 million.
£2 million, black and white photocopied brochure.
Yeah. And then this is a side point, but they also said, I haven't been here before either. Let's go and have a look around together.
But that's not, who's shocked? I'm not.
I shouldn't. I'm
I'm a
not-
bit.
No, but I mean, as in like, but that's why there's such a big opportunity.
massively. Yeah.
And then what I think you're talking about here with the brochures is it's a bit like with the conversations. You could almost link it to the same tangible kind of discussion with a client about what's really important, and link it to things like a brochure, tangible brochure. And this is why they're important, not because we're sending them out, but this is because, and you've got some real story there, because also from a selling perspective, when you're leaving a beautiful home, you've got a memory to take with you.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll get them printed into big A3
Do you know what I mean?
hardback copy version of it. I'll send it straight to them as a surprise or whatever, just as a memento or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's just a no. That is part of the deal. This is what we do.
It kind of extends beyond that. It's the thought, isn't it? And that represents the values and the kind of business that you operate, because that sends a message. That simple brochure, well, not quite so simple because it's designed, created, printed really well, but you get my point. It kind of represents your.
It's your biggest business card.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. And I think it's like, you've got to stand for something in your business or you fall for anything, don't you? So I think there's a lot of businesses chasing the new shiny thing, and they're constantly chasing shiny things, but they don't really know what's important to them as a business. Like if you cut back on 9 of your 10 shiny things and chose the number one thing that's really important to you, could you build your business on that? That's what I'm seeing here with you. You're going, this is what's important. This
Actually
and
do
all
the-
kind of filters down that same journey.
And do what is necessary, right? And I think you're not going to get a load of likes or shares or engagement from a brochure.
It's old-fashioned.
Do you know what I mean?
metrics,
I'm not going to be I'm not seeing how many people have viewed it. I'm not going to be worrying about that. It's a case of in that moment when that client is going to view that property and they're sat down at home and they're thinking about all the properties they've seen, this is going to be the best one. And this is going to, it becomes aspirational almost, compared to all the other stuff. It's like, yeah, but we could have this, and maybe some people might discard it. They might not need it or what have you. But I had an interesting chat with a guy the other day, and he was commenting on the brochure actually, how nice it was. Because he was coming to view, it was about a week's notice, so I put one in the post so that they could be in the, have it in the car or just get to know it a bit before they came. And he said, it's so good to actually have that, because otherwise, he said, you're going back to the same link on an email or on Rightmove, or he said, and you're scrolling through and you're trying to pinch to see the bigger floor plan and all this kind of stuff where,
But but I think this is where, if you're listening to this now and you're listening to James, you'll either really resonate with this, or you'll be the polar opposite. Don't be in the middle. So I love like people like Ian at Avocado and those guys in their market. They've very much gone, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And it's very deliberate. So that really stands out. So, their things really, I look at them and think, innovative videography. So that's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so that'll attract the people that they're going to work with who value those innovations and that kind of work ethic. And I think this is where people have got to come into their market knowing, first of all, what is it they value? What do they really believe in? What are they passionate about? And turning that into their service.
Do your thing.
This is exactly what we were saying when we were all together with some buy design guys last night. We're talking about the brochure conversation for a second. And exactly what you said there, and you're right, Matt, as well, that you've got to, if you're in the middle of the road, you'll get squashed. So either do a brochure to an absolute 10 out of 10 one, or the person who turned up with the black and white photocopied one, they'd have been better off bringing nothing at all.
But they don't
being intentional about bringing nothing at all.
But it wouldn't have even crossed their mind, because they're probably a viewing clerk who's not invested in it, he doesn't care.
That's
whatever.
not their fault, but the person
Exactly.
who's responsible
Yeah,
for that,
100%.
it's their fault.
And I think for me, as well as that side of the thing with the brochures, is when I'm going to see a client, maybe I haven't seen them for a few years, or maybe it's a new client completely, to show them something that I've put time, effort, energy, passion, commitment into, says more about me and how I'm going to look after them than anything else.
Yeah. And actually, just one last thing on that subject. I think we were talking about it last night. And Simon, who's the MD of Biodesign in Warwickshire, he's like, that's just, you said it a second ago, it's his business card. But it's just a very big business card.
His literally was the business card.
The back of it was designed as a business card. Yeah.
But it looked right, it looked good.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is, right? It's an advert for what I do and how I do it.
But do you think it's easier to do in the premium market in terms of distinguishing what you believe in and how you produce it? Because I think there's a lot of volume models, ours included, where you have a mixture of values in your team.
Yeah.
So like I'll have some people that go out and they know they need to have the seller's information form. They need to have a good set of particulars. They need to get there 15 minutes beforehand. And then I've got some guys that will get there just on time, if not slightly late.
Who am I seeing now?
But do you know what I mean? Like, so but that then,
that's you, isn't it, Matt?
but do you know? But they're confident when they get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. I am trying to. It's like it's a friend. But yeah, my friend has this challenge. But no, but I think the point is like, I think where we've gone wrong as a business is like sometimes you've got all of these conflicts going in a team, and actually that creates a toxic situation. Not that we've got that particularly, but it creates that element of confusion and chaos within it. So you have to really clear up what's really going to be important. What are the boundaries? What are the standards? And why?
Yeah.
And this is how we're going to operate. Because if we're really clear on it, when we go out and meet David and Sorrel in their property, we can actually talk with passion and authenticity about what it is we're going to offer. So my takeaway so far, sorry, Jane, is to the point what's important and what you value and what you deliver.
And what's important to me.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't care if other people think I'm wasting my time with brochures, or I don't care, whatever. I'm doing what I believe is the best thing for my clients.
Yeah.
That's it. What is the best thing to do? How can we make this the best thing in your price bracket?
I'm starting to see why you got 80 or 90 comments on your brochure post now. It's starting to. It's
but when you explain it to a client, and I'm like, do we get people coming? Do we get people asking for them to be posted out? Not at all.
Well, it's like the magazines, isn't it?
Exactly.
No one pops into Park Lane and go, hey, I'm just going to grab a copy of your magazine, or in any office.
Yeah.
It's.
But do I want my customer to see what I'm doing and actually do it properly? And
but it's attracting.
The feedback's great.
The bit that we're getting to is, when you start a business, is who is your ideal client, and what do they look like? What's their demographic? How do they? What age are they? What have they got? And you work your way back from there, and it's all of these elements that I think will help people who are thinking of doing this or are in that market and they're confusing their brand proposition.
Yeah, I think a lot, especially if somebody is looking from kind of core market into premium market, is that you might be kind of frustrated or fed up with the kind of constraints of the brand that you're working for, because you have to fill out this brochure like this, or you have to do this like that. And actually what I think needs to happen is, you might be serious. If somebody's really passionate about doing a great brochure, let them pitch doing a great brochure.
Yeah, and lean into what you're passionate about.
Yeah, because that passion will get you the listing.
Yeah,
that's
a great point.
It's not about, my estate agency company, I've got to do this, and I've got to be rigid and stringent with what the brand guide. I mean, I appreciate brand guidelines are important, but those guys need to be selling them, and they're passionate about this element of agency because this is what they do, and that will just go on to more things. And I think, by not doing a brochure, somebody might be thinking, oh God, these are awful. Why are we doing it like this? I don't need to do this. I'll do a video, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. Rather than this is what you do and this is how you do it.
Agree. So looking forward then, what's your early, I think as we sit here today, 2 months, 3 months into running your business? Something like that, if that.
Yeah, we're coming into the third month, yeah.
Yeah, that's not, congratulations so far, that's incredible. It doesn't seem like that, does it? But what does the future look like for you then going forward? What do you want your business to evolve into being? Where, who, how? What's it going to look like in a year or two's time? Maybe?
Yeah. Never looking to take over the world, but looking to, eventually we will take on people who are like-minded, who have their own kind of, that are experienced in the market. It will probably be in the self-employed model, but with people that I trust exactly like all my contacts. I won't be taking a punt.
That you would trust your contacts with, like you would trust with
exactly
all the suppliers.
Yeah. It's as easy as that. You know, it's like I've got people in mind that could do that for sure, and it's kind of just building up on that. So we're starting in my kind of area that I know and work in, that I have done for years, and just pushing those boundaries a little bit to try and give them a platform to come on board when they're ready to do that. And I think, but it's all about people, so it's got to be the right people, isn't it?
Yeah,
at the end of the day, and if it's not, then that won't be happening.
Yeah.
You know, I think letting it go a little bit organically, growing this organic growth. You know, a couple of weeks ago I sat there thinking, God, where's my next valuation coming from? And I got a call from an old contact. It's like, do you want a house to sell? It's like, yep, that's it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, working those networks and actually just reminding people what you do.
Yeah.
I've got old clients leaving me Google reviews, not about a transaction now, but just saying, look, you've got to work with James. He'll do exactly what he says he's going to do. You know, yada yada yada. And it's just kind of keeping those friendships really and relationships, and just knowing that they will come back, you know, time and time again.
So you're handing your heart and soul, aren't you, onto someone as well?
Yeah.
And a great question. I had a guy on a call, a couple of guys that I coach, they're sort of Liverpool way, and they're looking at, they've gone from like two of them to 4 of them in a year. They've tripled their pipeline. They're on course to smash loads of different things out of the park. Fees have doubled, all of those different beautiful things. So they're now looking to hire someone, right? And it's interesting because it's both their surnames, traditional estate agent thing, on their brand and everything else. I confess to that. But you know, they're saying, we're struggling to find someone. So as part of growth, they're struggling to find the right person. And what they've been doing is they're trying to find someone to do a job as opposed to a vision.
Yeah.
And, you know, I asked them, because they had a guy that they were tempted to bring in, 10 years experience, local, blah, 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 blah. And I said, would you trust him with your parents' property? And one of them went, and the other one went, yeah, I think so. And I was like, there's your answer.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to give that person your brand.
Yeah.
And if you're going to give that person your brand, you can't even think about it.
I'll tell you something very funny happened to us yesterday in conversation. So Marie, who is the MD of Buyer Design in Northamptonshire, she's been looking to grow her team and take on some self-employed agents in the area. And she had done the things that we'd all probably do. She'd been on LinkedIn, she'd been on Indeed, been on Reed, been all the sort of usual channels, and spent a lot of time and effort sifting through CVs of people that hadn't read the brief particularly well and so on. And go, God, this is getting frustrating. This is going through it. And anyway, she's got someone who's starting with her next month. I'm like, great, awesome news. How do they come to you? And she said, no, this podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is just nuts. I'm not saying that, good for us. I'm saying it's like the putting yourself out there, being authentic, being who she was. And this person absolutely resonated with Marie.
Yeah.
Like I think Marie's great, but Marie would say herself, she's for some people, not for others, but those people who resonate with her just know it's a fit. And out of all of the people that she'd gone out and tried to hunt for on all of those platforms that we would all probably turn to, actually it was just that attraction marketing almost, dare I say, of putting herself out there.
Somebody that wasn't even looking to change employment.
Wasn't even looking.
So we're now recruiting podcast.
Should we take a clip?
I was just thinking about the invoice. Are we doing 15%, 20%? Because I know she believes in fees. But look, I think the point is like, and I think what I love about that is the fact that Marie quite rightly is self-aware enough to say, I'm either for you or I'm not.
Yeah,
there's
we all
no
are,
in between. I love what you said earlier about being squashed if you're in the middle. And I think that's something that everyone's got to kind of really understand, because you're never going to attract the right people if you're trying to be someone that you're not.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
because you're only going to get that kind of caliber or that kind of mindset in. You're trying to fit that narrative, and actually it's inauthentic. It doesn't work. And I think when you're going to grow yours with your story, from what we discussed before we came in, you know, you're pretty clear and determined about what it is you're going to do moving forward, and that'll bring people, not loads of people, but it'll bring the right people.
Right people, yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I want.
Exactly. All it is.
It makes it good. It makes it fun. You know?
It does make it fun. Yeah, working with the right people. You don't fuck up the culture.
No,
that doesn't matter, does it?
No.
Right, Matt, good news. Hopefully today we've acquired one new subscriber to the podcast, because James doesn't know what he's in for with our closing tradition yet.
Yes. So he does. He's going to, You said you've got pants on. Don't you? I'm just want to check that you're okay. We can turn the camera off on this one, Michael. Don't worry.
Only the 5 cameras.
Yeah. We can just do this on this.
Right. So fear not. Don't worry. We're not that invasive. So
not that the name might not, cause some doubt.
Well, speaking of the name, it's a Property Porn Stars, which is the premium property podcast. But being Property Porn Stars, and you are the star today, everyone, whether they know it or not, James, has a porn star name.
Uh-huh.
And that is comprised of your...
You Googled? No, sorry.
There was, for anyone who's listening and not watching, there's a genuine frown came over your face then, which I feel like we're going to talk about off air.
Have you found it? No. Yeah.
The side hustle.
Yeah.
Which is comprised of, you're throwing me off track and I struggle with this, which is your middle name and your first pet's name.
So I am David Morris.
God, that is boring. That is
Really
bottom of the
boring.
league relegation
You've got to
stuff
come up
there.
with something better than that.
Make something up, for God's sake. We need to give people can you just make one up when you come in?
Yeah, think about it before you come on the show.
because we can't keep going back to my one.
Yeah.
That's the first episode.
No, that's rubbish.
That is rubbish. Yeah, I'll tell you that is rubbish. Matt's is Kevin Tiny from the first episode.
Yeah.
And all this
Still
time,
elements
year
of-
down the line,
Still there.
still there.
What was yours?
Eddie Wonton, which is just weird. It's not even funny. It's just weird.
It's a little Chinese that's just opened up in Soho or something, isn't it?
It sounds something like that, doesn't
You
it?
need to find a different
Combination somehow.
Yeah.
different combo.
Yeah. But not for today. Anyway, you're in the relegation zone with that, I'm afraid,
Perfect.
James. Other than that, it was a great podcast. We really enjoyed listening to you.
Thanks very much for having me. Yeah.
Congratulations on your start
Thank you.
as well.
Yeah,
Brilliant
thanks, yeah.
start. Some fantastic listings. And, you haven't even mentioned that you've agreed your first...
Yeah.
Just very quickly talk with, I know at the end of the podcast, going to talk us through that very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's some really lovely clients actually who I sold the house to them 12 years ago, and they actually found me through social media when I finished doing what I was doing and came on the market with me, asked me to sell their house because for them it wasn't about the brand. And we tied that up for them last week at 4 million, and should exchange very, very quickly.
Got the porn star.
We got the porn star.
So it's a great start. Yeah,
That's
it's,
amazing. Well done.
Yeah, so really,
Congratulations.
really pleased, yeah.
Really good.
Thank you very
Keep
much.
up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you, James, and thank you for watching or listening to this episode of Property Porn Stars. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
See you soon.